Hello all and welcome back to the day 3 for our Selenium live training and project. Hope you all can hear me okay, and sincerely apologize for yesterday's session. I just crashed totally and there was no way for me, my team or my family to get me up going. Just too much of working, traveling, and the fact that I've been going through this heat wave in Los Angeles. It's very, very hot out here. I don't know who all live out here in LA, but it's pretty hot. Anyway, so welcome back team. I hope you all excited like I am to get this automation framework, the dream automation framework or the awesome one, or what I've been trying to call it as any art, going to the next stage. So let's take a quick peek back at what we left this at and how we have built what we did so far in the first 2 days. So we didn't really get deep into the actual automation point of view in terms of building the scripts and so on. But what we did was to try and make sure we have the right plan, we have the right design and everything going, and then development will become easy. Everyone with me? So I'm assuming team you've all gone through that orientation day 1, day 2 before joining today's session. Is that right? So with that effect, you also know what we're trying to accomplish. We are trying to build an automation framework that can be used for any application, any organization, and the fact that once the organizations and the whole QA world overall can start to accept it, it'll become a popular tool eventually and you have a skill on it. That is the whole intent team. So some of you haven't gone through, I will strongly recommend you to go back and watch these videos. So brief summary of what we did till the previous session is we were talking about 3 things. The UI, which is how the users can start to look at this application, this framework, and start working with it. That's the front end of it. Then the business logic, the main programming that we built behind it. So exactly what will happen at what time and how the application reacts to user commands and so on. And then the backend, which stores the entire data of every operation that we do. And then we've also built in terms of the different modules that we wanted to work with. So primarily we said we'll have 3 modules team, right? Everyone? The 3 modules that we are focusing on are the implementation module, the setup and run, the execution and the results. These are the 3 most important modules team. The help and about are other things we believed together that are necessary for anyone who's starting to use this application to know exactly what are the features and what it could do. So any questions on what we have done so far? Any questions in general before we get started with how we take today's session forward? So I see only 2 sessions, 2 questions. One is, do you cover protractor? No, not in this. We have a very clear vision of what we want to do. Second is, this is my first session, looking forward. So thank you on that. All right, let's get going. So team, do you remember this screen? We spoke about the UI, the user interface and the user experience that one should have. So if anyone comes in, the first thing that they have to do is enter the application details, the application under test or SUT, the system under test. And they put in the name for it, the URL for it, because we're looking at a web-based automation only, and the industry to which it belongs. Once they do it, they can submit that and that gets stored, or they can cancel it. And once they finish submitting, they can add the new modules to it. Modules are basically the functionality of the entire application broken down into each and every section, as to say what is the module name, a unique identification for it, and a description. Once this is submitted, then we go into the test cases and so on. So before we build the UI and UX for it, we were talking about this specific sheet where we said what we need for the test cases and what kind of information we need for the module. So let's look at this, and let's look at some programs that we've already built in the previous trainings to visualize where we need to really take it. So we took interaf.com as the application as the base to be able to build it, and then along with it we will be able to do build an overall framework that can be applied anywhere. So the modules that we identified were trainer, trainee, admin, visitor, the general things, and the UI UX overall. So these are the things that we could divide so far. As we go along, we know we'll get more modules. So one question that I've got from the team as to what is UX. Can someone answer please? What is UX? UI is user interface. What is UX? All right, great. So I'm seeing the answers for those of you new to the session. I'm seeing the responses on chat from everyone else. UX is basically user experience. What is the user experience? So when I go to a website, for example, we talk about Interact, right? And we look at the app itself, interact.com/app, for example, all right? The functionality and what you see out here is the user interface. But what you experience, is it a smooth flow? Are there challenges? Is it easy enough for everyone to understand and navigate through it without having to someone say, okay, here is login, here is how you do, this is what you do, and so on. So for example, someone forgot password, is it clear enough for someone to do it? That is the user experience. So I can always say an application is working correctly, but is it friendly enough to interact with any first time user? Is it got that kind of a appeal where the navigation, the buttons, the whole design of the web page is in a good direction that's easy? Okay, so let's get back to this. Team, any questions that are not related to today's session? I'll answer them towards a later point, and let's move forward. Now here is what I'm expecting, team, from each of you. While we build this framework, I want you all to take active participation in how we work with it. Let's talk about test cases for now, and then we'll talk about test steps also. Okay, we're still going to design these things, and maybe from later today or in tomorrow's session we'll start coding it. So every module, like we believed, has test case IDs and have test case names, and they also have a description of what they will do. Test case ID is a unique identification for what the test case is about. So the kind of format that we used is very simple. We said TC for test case underscore app name underscore the module name and underscore the specific feature that we're testing within it. All right. So this way we may have how many test cases for each of these modules? We may have dozens of it, sometimes even over 100 for each module. And that is how we build the entire test suite when we're trying to test any given application, correct? Anything else that we require to know when we run this test as to what is the result. So this is the information that we will enter, but towards the end of the execution of this test case, what will be the different results on it? So, okay, let me repeat my question again, team. This is the information we will enter before we are running a test. So now let's assume that we run a test. What is the kind of information that we want to capture for it? We want to capture exactly a result. Did that test case pass or did that test case fail? Right? A test case always has a result out of it, a pass or a fail. If even one step fails, then we can call it that a test case has failed. Or a test case may have specific steps which are critical that we're testing for, other steps are optional. What else can we look at? Test data. So a test case can also require test data. What test data do we use for it, right? We want to say that this is the test data that we want to use for this test case. So let me also create another sheet called test data right now. And we'll start entering information in there. What else, team? Do you also want to time a test case, the amount of time it took to run it? Look at the end result. A result as a report. For example, I'm going to try and show you a result that comes from Eclipse. So not Eclipse, from Robot Framework. Robot Framework is something very similar that has been achieved with what we did overall. Like a report out here. Let me show you a couple of things. A report. And also there's a log. This could be an inspiration for us as to how we design our framework. Yes, Ravindra, you're right. We'll come to that as well. So this says that this is a test report. When we execute a test, what is it that we get? We get things like when was this test executed, how many days and hours ago, and this information is all programmed into the overall framework. So for those of you who don't know what a robot framework is, robotframework.org. This is the page for it. I'll also put this in chat so you all can pick it up. It's an open source framework that's been built with a very similar concept in mind. We are trying to take it to a similar or a next level to make it very user friendly. All right. Now, when we run such a test, it tells us exactly how many tests did we run, when did we start, when did we end, how much time it took overall. There were how many critical tests and how many passed, how many failed. And it will talk about each and every detail of this overall, like a dashboard. It tells us exactly what failed, what passed, and any information regarding each of them. When you look at log.html that I've opened here, it gives us a more detailed picture of what has happened. Can you all see my screen, team? Right. So it again gives a similar information, but it digs deeper, saying what are the different issues that we faced. So if we have an error executing, it will tell us what error it is. When we run a test suite, which is a combination of multiple test cases, then it tells us exactly how many test cases have gone through, what happened to each test case, where did it pass, where did it fail. So it talks about something called as a keyword and what happened to each keyword and how we executed it. So this is how the execution is performed in Robot Framework. The script for this one is out here. It's a .robot file that I'm opening in Notepad, and let's say that only these are the ones that I'm trying to execute. It's just got two things, team, right now. Settings as to what libraries it wants to use and the different test cases, which talks about the command. So this one says log to console so and so. Then I said log, which is not the correct information to provide, and also the other one, which is log test3 log. So now I just have to save this and run from the command prompt. I'm not really getting into the zone where I'm teaching you what a robot framework is, but once we get to a point to understand what this framework does, you'll be able to easily understand what a robot framework does. I'll just say robot cell test2 dot robot. So now this application is executing the whole code. It will tell me exactly what passed, what failed. So now I can see that there are two test cases which have passed, and the third one, test 3, failed because it's a syntax error and so on. And it tells me exactly details of it. Now the output.xml, log.html, and report.html are what we get. So if you look at now the updated log.html, it will tell me that 2 things out of 3 passed and where each of them failed and so on. So I know that this passed and this passed. So this is exactly the kind of output that we would like to see. And this is all built up using HTML. So end of the whole thing, when we execute something, we should get such kind of reports, right? So let's keep this side. Let's go back to our what we were doing. So we have a result if a test case passed. We also can have start time, end time. We can choose to say which ones we want to execute or not. These are the information that we can further provide. So some of these are standard with the test case. The others, the user has to really input data or they will get as a result. Okay. So this is, let's say, the test cases overall. What I've not done in this is I've not said the modules, test suite and test cases. It is like dividing that into 3 kind of interaction activities. I can always bring up and say a module, overall module is built on multiple test cases. And I could also say that each group of test cases belong to a test suite within the module. We have left the overall thing saying that this is a module and everything inside this is a test case. So I could have a dozen test cases here, a few more test cases here, and so on. We're not trying to subdivide it further as of now. What is contained in a test case? Those are the test steps. What do we have in a test steps? The first thing we need to have is something that is linking with the test case ID. This test case ID should get uniquely linked with our test steps. If you note, I'm doing it in Google Sheets, which is a similar thing to Excel right now. But when we move it even to a database or any other more user-friendly, rather more powerful tool, the idea is to be able to take it easily from there on. So the first thing that we definitely need to have is a test step ID or a test case ID that is related out here. So if I talk about a test case ID where the user is trying to log in, I have the same detail out here. Then I can have step number, which says what is the sequence for that step. Is it the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step, and so on. And the same test case ID will continue for all the steps. What else can I have for a step number, team? What else can I have for a test step? And I want it to be interactive, team, this specific session, not this session, but the whole training, because you are going to help me build it. It's just not me. So I want each of you to really participate very actively on this. Step detail, yes, as to what that step will do. Like, for example, open a browser. Okay. Then what else shall I say? Go to the go to home page. Then click on login. Then we enter username. Then we enter password. So the reason I took Interaf as an application, so that it is easy for us to navigate with one application, build it for it, but at the same time make it for anything else. Then we have an option to log in as. How many of you have downloaded the Interaf mobile app team? It's still in a pre-beta, so it's not publicly launched. If you have got an invitation, so please do take it, because we definitely will require users to be able to test it. Login as trainee. Then finally, we click the login button. Confirm login, and then log out, close browser. These are the steps that are there for the first test case. Let's assume. Okay. Now these are the details for a step. Now what do we have for each test step? What else can we have? So a combination of the test case ID and the step number will be the unique identification for each step. So if I say this is test case login 001 underscore 1 will be the unique identification for the step number. We need 1 second. No, see, link or URL is what? It goes where? We need, so when we talk about automation, right? There are two things that become very important for automation team. Automation is all about giving instructions to a tool that can repeat or follow your orders. You want to say exactly what the tool has to do. So you have to say what it has to do. And you also have to say where it has to perform that. What do I mean by this? It should click somewhere. The what is click. Where is, let's say, button. Which button we have to say? Let's say I say it is button 1. Then it has to type something. Where does it have to type? It has to type in a edit field 1. That's the name for it. Let's assume. Okay. And what we have to type also has to go in. And let's say it has to select from a drop down list. What does it have to select? That option that we want, and where? The identification for that, let's say that radio box, radio button. So these two sets of information become very critical. When you look at Selenium IDE, how many of you have no idea about Selenium IDE? I'm sure most of you do. I just want to know who do not have a good idea about Selenium IDE. Okay. So team, again, like I said, you have to go through the orientation session. You will have to go through the day 1 and day 2 to understand where we are today. Okay. You're not lost, but we're going to go very advanced. There are some basic concepts that you all have to watch. You're going to be part of a team. So I'm assuming that the participants have certain amount of knowledge on each of these tools. Okay. If you do not, it's going to be challenging for you to catch up. So please do watch, because this is an immense potential training that you can be part of, but you have to really put in your effort there. So Selenium IDE has something similar. Command is what? The target is where we need to do. And value is the information that I need to provide additionally. So what are the commands like click, type, wait, select, go to this URL, and so on. Those are the different activities that we perform using a keyboard or mouse on any given application. What is the target that we put here, team, in Selenium IDE? What is the target that we put in Selenium IDE? The identification of that specific element. So let us say that this is right now, if you can notice, is recording. It's pressed in, so it is recording is on. So if I click on this, you'll note that first it has opened the app and it has gone to the interapp.com/app. Then it clicked and waited for the link equals login. This is the information provided for the automation tool to identify it. Now if I want to enter something in username, what will come here? Let's say I say just KK. It says you have to type, and here's the identification and KK. So let's say for password, instead of typing, I want to enter this data myself. So again I have to type, and what will be the target? I have two ways to do it. One, record, or I can always write the XPath for it. So how many of you are comfortable in writing XPath? Because these are the things that I'm really expecting everyone to know, team. If you do not, then it's a challenge. So just let me know how many of you do not know XPath? Not the ones who know it, the others who don't know. All right. Okay. I see a few messages, team. At least a dozen messages saying I don't know it. That's challenging for me. See, where do you have to learn XPath? It's very simple. You just have to go to itlearn.com. All the videos are there out there. You just have to start watching the videos with a clear intent that you want to learn something. For those of you who are good, I'm fine with it. But for the others who need to really catch up, then you have to go through this. That's why I'm very specifically informed. Please watch this video. So go to online courses, go to Selenium Training Online, and in that you'll find a variety of videos on many topics that you can really capture. So for this, if I have to write an XPath, can the team help me who know it? What could be the XPath for this specific web element? Everything in the page is a web element, right? What will be the XPath for it? I'm asking for XPath, guys. Password is not an XPath. User underscore pass is not an XPath. XPath, the whole format. There is a specific format for writing XPath. What will it be? I've got about 6 correct answers so far. What are the others doing, team? Is it that you're taking time, or you're looking at the highlighted text in blue? And then you should be able to write it. If I have to really get to teaching from the XPath team, it's going to take us, another 15-20 sessions more. It starts as / HTML tag, open square brackets, at attribute name equals in single quotes attribute value. That is how the XPath is written. So in this case, if you notice, the HTML tag is input. I can use ID as user underscore pass, or I can use class. form underscore control. Let's use class and see what happens. I'll say input at class equals single quotes form hyphen control. Let's say that this is the X path. Now when I put this in out here and I say find it, what will it do? It will try and find that element. Do you see something getting highlighted? Do you all see something getting highlighted when I click on find? If nothing is getting highlighted, you can go to log. It will show you that element is not found. Is this the correct element that we wanted to be highlighted? We wanted password. So why is it doing it for this? I said class is this, right? The reason it's doing it is because it may be the same class for both of them. It is not unique enough to identify. It is like saying, referring to one individual here, saying SLT August 2016. You're all part of it. I cannot say that who is SLT August 2016. I have to take a first name, last name, or a combination or an email address to uniquely identify it. In this case, the class is not unique enough. So you have to find something else. Is it ID, type, autocomplete, data error, placeholder? So different details are there. Now instead of a class, I use user underscore pass as the ID and say find. Now what does it do? It says not found, locator not found. This is all within Selenium IDE team. Why is it doing that? Because while I changed the value of that attribute, I didn't change the name of that attribute. It's supposed to be ID. And now I say find, it finds it. Correct? So these are important things. Command, target, and value. What is it that we want to do? Where do we want to do it? And if we need to enter some value out here, what is it? Let's say password I want to enter $123. This is a test step from Selenium ID's perspective. Now, when I run this step, there are a few steps that got generated automatically. I'm going to delete this. And I will say recording done and execute this. So it will go to the application. It will enter KK. It will enter $123 and it's finished. So it performs the instructions that we have given it. Now the same information we will need to capture out here. So step number is out here. Detail is out here. I need to talk about the element identification. So instead of saying element identification, I can always say XPath or anything with it. But element identification, the reason I'm saying team is because we need to identify that element first. And that's that XPath for it. Okay. Then I need to enter information that is related with the test data for it. I also have to enter what I have to do, right? So the detail is open browser. The test data, for example, this one will be interrupt.com/app. All this set of detail, right? And here I have to enter the element identification. And now, sorry everyone. I don't know how many of you people are living in Los Angeles, but it's pretty hot. And I work from a garage because it's pretty private for me. And it gets so hot out here that I can't say. What is it that we want to do? We want to execute a step. So I'll say like in ID. For now, let's name it as command. The command that we use. Okay. So what is the command here? Open browser. I'm going to write it like this. Go to a home page is navigate browser. Click on login. I'll say click element. Enter username. Type text. Enter password. Again it's type text. We're typing text. Login as training. So click. That's clicking again somewhere to be able to do it. Login as trainee is no. Select radio. Click on login button is click element. Confirm login is once we have logged in, I want to confirm that it's logged in. So we have to verify something. Verify text that yes, logged in, or verify element and so on. Log out is again you click an element to log out. It could be a link or anything, and then close browser. Now if you notice team, all these commands that we have shown out here are nothing but a simple user specific command. Anything that I do with a keyboard, anything that I do with my mouse, I should be able to capture it out here. So I'm breaking it down into easy steps so I know exactly what these commands are doing. Okay, so I know that open browser, navigate browser, all these are typically called as a keywords. So I'm going to create a new sheet out here and call this as keywords and start putting them out here. There is a keyword, what object that it performs, what is the action that it performs, and I will write a status in terms of development. Okay, whatever I've copied from there, I've put it out here. So open browser, we are working on a browser out here. The same for navigate browser and also close browser. The only difference is here we are doing an open, here we're doing a navigate, here I'm doing a close, and so on. So team, filling up all this information is essential, is absolutely critical, but I will not do it at my end. I want you to help me, involve with me and start doing this, building this entire information that we need. Fair enough? This is where we will start to make sure that everything that we do is documented and we have enough information about it. All right. Now, how do we write a test for it? I have three options that at least I am comfortable with. I can do it in C#. I could do it within Python, or I could do it in Java. Now I want to write the steps for this team. How do I write it? Which one do I use? Since I've chosen Java as the primary thing, this is what I want to do. It is always going to be Webdriver. It's Selenium Webdriver, but the programming language as a backend is what I'm talking about. Now how do I create a new Java program for this? New. Do I say PyDev project or do I say project? We say project because it is not PyDev, is for Python. So we create a new project. I say Java. I call this as a Java project, right? Let's give it a name. I'm going to say this is any odd 1 and everything. So you should have Java installed on your machine. Make sure that there's a JRE also available and all that basic settings should be there. Then you should be able to create it. What is the next thing that we do once we create this project team? I have the project here, right? Now this source should be able to recognize something, right? So first I go about creating a class. I say this class is my sample test case. Okay, 1. Now for this sample test case, what do I require? I require that code, correct? I can always create packages team. I'll create packages later, but let's talk about it's actually create a package also out here, any one, and put it in that. What do I do next? We can do JUnit, TestNG, anything, but it should be based on our requirement. So I go to my build. So start with properties, go to my build and start importing all the Selenium WebDriver files that we require. What happened? Import Java build path, libraries, Add external jars. Now let's see where I have the jar files. Selenium server standalone 3.2 beta. So if I say this, will this be enough, team? Apply OK to understand the Selenium commands. Now, if I have to write, what's the first thing, team? We have to create a Webdriver, right? So I have to say Webdriver, let's say WD equals new Webdriver. But the program wouldn't understand this, right? What's the Webdriver? So what do? We have to import the package from what jar file we have imported. We put to the build part. So it is recognizing what is the jar file and we're putting it out here. New Webdriver. What is the problem with this, team? I'm looking at you, team, for answers because I want you to start advising. It is added, right? Library is already here. I can always divide it into 2 steps. Then say WD equals new. I'll say Firefox driver. Is this correct? The best way, team, when you have a question like this is to look at Selenium IDE. We've already generated a certain script. So you can go to the format and just pick up JUnit or TestNG. It doesn't matter. Okay. So I'll just call it as a Java JUnit 4 WebDriver. And you can look at the code for it. You can get the whole code and delete what you don't want. Okay. This is a huge code that comes in. They have a lot of unnecessary stuff that we do not want. We will start deleting it. What we want are specific things. Okay. So here we have defined this, but we never had a main class within it. So unless you create a main class within Java or like JUnit, we have this. Team, let me ask you this. How many of you guys are confused? I want to take a poll, team. How many of you know basic Java programming, JUnit and WebDriver? Can I take a quick poll please for everyone? Because this is important. If you're not at the same level, then I'm guiding you, but where are the polls? Polls. Okay, polls. While the page is loading, or we can just use the test. It's JUnit. Sorry team, I'm having to do this because unless I do this, then I'm not confident that I'm doing justice to what it is. How comfortable are you with identification? Automation basics. Very medium So you can already see the questions. Guys, don't ask me questions like are we using TestNG or JUnit? We're using Java. What we need, we will use. You have to tell me what do we want to use? Why should we use something? There's nothing about TestNG or JUnit team. It's just about something someone has created as a framework to do unit testing. It's not rocket science by itself. It's a very simple concept. Last one.
I think we cannot see your screen actually.
Oh, sorry. Why was it? Sorry, thanks Manoj. Why was it that you couldn't? How long have you not been seeing my screen? Maybe once I clicked on poll, right?
Last, yeah, last few minutes, I guess.
Sorry, thanks Manoj. So I put the questions in. No. Yes. So team, please be active for the next few seconds. I'm going to start the poll, the few questions only that I want you to take up. First one, this is the first question team. Where's the poll? I'm launching it on your screen. So can you please look into it and answer that? Simple question, do not take more than 10 seconds to answer it. All of you, kind request from my side. It's not typing in there. You can click on the screen please and select the option and submit. It's not typing in the chat. And I'm going to show you how's everyone else. There was almost 70 participants in this session right now. So I just want to show you what it is. So you can always be frank enough to say what you have, because we cannot see who's answered what, but we can see the overall result. So team, 77% votes came. I'm going to close this. Don't take so long. How comfortable are you with element identification? That's a simple question and 4 options. Same 4 options for everything. So I'm going to close this now team and share the results. So 35% say very comfortable, 35% say medium, that is good, 22% are low about it, 8% have no idea. Okay, I'm going to hide this. Let me launch the next one please. Because Selenium WebDriver, I'm not that worried team, but these things, yes. With core Java. Give me a minute while I pick up some water for myself, please.
Team, please choose option from your screen. Don't put in a chat box. So you can just select. Okay, all right.
Sorry, I'm back. Had to pick up some water. So here's the result for this team. And team, when I say how comfortable are with core Java from a automation testing point of view, not from being a Java developer, because we want to be automation test engineers. If you have a chance, you can change your option right now, or I'll show what I have. Why are 19% of you not active? Why are you not answering? Okay, so let me close this poll and show it, please. Can you see it, team? 17% very comfortable, 38 medium, 13% have no idea, and 32% low. This is manageable, team. The first poll was not really manageable. This one is manageable because even if you don't have, we can build it up. When we divide you all into team, then we can build it up. So let's look at the next one. How many of you are comfortable with automation basics? Automation basics means what is automation? How does any automation tool work? What happens really in it? If you try to build a framework, it's very important that we teach. All right, I've got about 77, 78. Okay, I'm going to close this poll, 81%, and share the results. So 33% very, 44% medium. That's good. This is a good thing as well. How comfortable are you with basics of automation framework? This is about frameworks, team. Sorry, Harish, I know it was taking too long for the polls itself, but it's important. So what are automation frameworks? How do they work? What are each type of framework and so on? Okay, let me close this one and share the results. So this is also not bad because we can always train you on frameworks and the concepts that we're using out here because you've got to be building, you're going to work with a team. So Manoj, do you have the confirmed participants list? 12% no idea. So this is fine. So we can start dividing them into teams and start working with them. Last one, team, did you watch the orientation session and video and the day one, day two? Though it says only orientation session, but I'm also talking about day one and day two, team. Did you watch them?
We'll check with Ashna Karthik on this, and we'll work on that.
Thanks, Manoj. Okay, I'm going to close this and share. So 50% of you have watched, 50% of you have not. So it's closed. Okay. All right. So polls done, team. Let's get back to our normal thing now. Now we are in challenge. So we can go about writing our code. We can go about doing all of these things, but it's going to take time. I have two options. I can take 2 or 3 specific days to go through some of these basic concepts and then get to this. Should I do that or should I continue with the advanced flow? So maybe I'll create another poll for it and you can tell me, help me answer there. So hold on to your questions on chat, team. I'm going to create a question. Should we start with basics or go advanced? Okay. Last question, team. Amit, yes, we will divide teams based on time zones, countries, and so on. So you're going to work under the same. Okay, I've got 81% votes in. What do you think most will say team out here? 86%. That's good. And share. So 60% of you almost are saying basics. 24% of you are saying advanced. 17% are either. Is fine. Because if you don't know this basic concepts team, it will become very tough. I've asked people to watch the videos. Looks like no one watched what I've asked them to watch because you didn't even watch the day 1, day 2 sessions as well. All right. Okay. So if I need to do basics, this is what I have in mind, team. Element identification using XPath will take me about 30 minutes. And I can start with it right now. I know since we missed yesterday, if I can do 15 minutes at least, that would be good. Then we have core Java basics. This I can try and finish this in 60 minutes, at least the core of it. Walk through some of those things. Automation fundamentals will take me about 30. Frameworks overview. This I can do a code walkthrough for about 60 minutes. So we're looking at least 3 sessions team overall for this. Alright, that's what we have, and I'm going with the poll right now. So maybe I'll do this 4 sessions and then we will get into what we're doing. Is that fine for everyone? Anyone has an issue with this flow? It's just that we'll get delayed by another 3-4 days, but we'll go through it. Yes, Simran Pal, the framework video is already there. It's an overview, but I'll walk through with the code for it. Yes, what is data driven, what is keyword driven, I do have a video. Alright team, so let's start, at least do a little bit of element identification. From tomorrow we'll get into more of these details of it, and then we can go forward. Alright everyone, is that fine? Alright, so primarily what happens here team with element identification is when we do automation, right? The what is very easy. What is it that the automation tool has to do? When we talk about automation, what is automation? Automation is taking any manual process and trying to convert it so that a tool or system can do. Let's say we want to call someone on our cell phones. Do we type the number today? No, it's there in a contact list. All we do is type the name or select the name from the contact list and say dial that person. It will automatically do all the process. A manual process that we were doing where we're looking into a phone book physically, then turning our fingers over the numbers, has been automated to such an extent that we just have to press few buttons and it's already done for us. That's the whole concept. Be it manufacturing of automobiles or be it manufacturing of any system, any manufacturing industry you see, there's a lot of automation in it. So when we do automation, we need to know the what and the where. Any automation that we work with has to talk about what is it that we want to do. Let's say this is an application, okay? If a human comes and works on this application, what does he or she do? He says, okay, click on this link, enter username here, enter password here, and then click on this button to log in, right? This is what we do humanly. And if we need to instruct a tool, I'll try and draw something that will be crazy. I'm laughing at myself for this drawing of mine. It's like a gap, okay? It's automation, all right? If this tool has to do, I have to teach the tool. teaching the tool becomes very important. I have to tell it what to do, how to do it. It is like I have a robot, Captain America. All right. It's like a robot, right? It's dumb. All this automation tools team, be it Selenium, QTP, whatever programming language, everything is absolutely dumb. They have no intelligence by themselves. We are the trainers. We are the teachers. We have to teach these tools to what to do, what it should do, where it should do. So element identification is answering where is it. What is very easy, team. Click on it or select something or type something and so on. But where do we have to do? For that, we need to identify that specific object in the web page or the element. How do we do it? We do it using multiple methods that Selenium provides. Selenium is the automation tool that we have preferred. Now, if you notice in the script that we have, it says link equals login or ID equals so on, or the one which we wrote. There are multiple ways to identify it, team. One of the easiest ways is ID or name as an attribute. What is an attribute? Attribute is nothing but when you right click on any element that you want to automate and say inspect element with Firebug. What is Firebug, team? Firebug is an Firefox add-on that helps us to inspect elements. When I say inspect elements, to watch the HTML code behind it. Now, HTML is primarily the base language for anything that you see on a website. Any web application that you see, end of the day it is HTML. So if I right click here and say view page source, it will show me the entire HTML code. And it can be a very, very huge code for you to look at. What is important for us is to see the code specific to that specific object. I don't want the whole code. I want to see the code that is relevant to this page or this specific element or object. Let's say username or this login button. So if I have to do that, I can right click on it and say inspect element with Firebug. If you're using a Chrome or an IE, you will see a new feature called inspect element. It will be there in almost all the browsers now. But inspect element with Firebug is only there with Firefox. The concept is very similar to it. This is what you have to get, the HTML code for it. Now, to get that, all you have to do is Firebug, just search on Google or Yahoo and go to Firebug, getfirebug.com, and it will give you the link to install the Firebug. Once you do it, and hopefully you have to restart the Firefox, you will see it there within your application. So anytime you click, for example, even here extensions is there, I right click and say inspect element with Firebug, it will take me to the specific code which is for extensions. A is saying it's a hyperlink. Now, some basics of HTML are necessary. Some basics that every IT engineer. For that, you can go to w3schools.com. Nice tutorials. Even I have made some tutorials on HTML with an IT learn. But if you don't have access to it, just go to w3schools.com and you can learn the basics of HTML very easily out here. Okay. In this, all you have to do is understand how a HTML code looks. What is it? So I'm going to explain briefly what HTML code looks like, hypertext markup language, and then you'll be able to understand very neatly as to what it is. What did I want to say? So every HTML code team has this less than and greater than symbol. It says like it's starting and ending. All right. Every code will start with HTML at the beginning and HTML at the end. What is the difference between this HTML and this HTML? It's primarily the fact that I have a / here. It says that here is where I'm starting the HTML code, here is where I'm ending the HTML code. Within that there is a title, within that there is a body. Title basically says what do we see as the title of the page when this page gets loaded. So what you see at the top becomes the title. These days you can see it as the title out here. So now it says HTML tutorial. Now if I say HTML tutorial by, oops, I can edit this, right? Try it yourself. Where is that? Page title, HTML by Karthik. Okay. Now once we run this code, that will be the title. You can't see it here because it's in the title, but I have in the body. So this is the header section. I'm going to divide it. Header will have a lot of content about the page that is not visible within the page, but the body is the main content. Whatever I write here will be there. So this is the heading. H1 means it is of the biggest size. So now if I copy the same thing and I write H2 out here, I have to also end it with H2 and say this is heading 2, and now I run it. You will see that coming up as a different one. P is paragraph, regular text that we put, and I say P, this is paragraph 2, and run it, that will come. So this is the HTML code for this page. Anything that you want to see in a website is brought by using this. Now if I want a link, I'll just say less than a href equals http:// let's say interact.com/ this is the link. Now see, a is the start of that parameter, of that HTML tag. A is the HTML tag here, P is the HTML tag here, H2 is the HTML tag here, H1 here, body here, and I have to end it with it. Here, if I give some values within it, all right, like font, color, href, or any other information, it is called an attribute name. This is an attribute name, and this is the link to it. Now, if I run this, you'll see a link to it, and if I click on it, it will take us to the interact.com link. But whatever text I put here, it will show up out here. The link will be shown like this, but once we click on it, it's going to take us there. I can also add things like alt text. So many features that I can add to it, and say link, for example. Now when I run it, and why is it not coming? Maybe this is for this. Just a title. There you go. So in this, when I say title, right, when I put my mouse over it, it will show me that word, whatever I've typed here. So I say link xxx and run, and it will say that out there. So this is how HTML programs are built in. So any application that you see, it is built upon all of this all of these elements that are put together. CSS, how many of you know what is CSS, team? CSS is cascading style sheet. Okay, all of these things, basic things, please do learn from w3schools.com. It's a free tutorial on learning HTML and CSS. You don't need to master it, but just be aware. CSS basically says how does the style look. So now, for example, on Interact out here, I look at so many things, right? So let's say login, and I say inspect element with Firebug. It tells me there's a class called submit. Okay, that is a class, and target is nothing but login. It is part of a web form, so when I submit it, it will submit that order. Now in this specific class is submit, so whatever is the background color, whatever should come after, before, the border for it, the color, the radius, all of this information is out here. So if I go and change this to something else, so let's say 5, I don't know if it is there, it should reflect that color out here. So let's say I say all zeros, 6 zeros, it becomes all black. And if I say FFFFF, okay, it becomes all white. So you could change the look and feel of how this button looks out here. So border is 1 pixel solid. If I say 10 pixels, Okay, it becomes different out here. Do you notice that, team? So it all depends on how you give the design and style. That is how it is designed. See, now border is set. The look and feel of the application of that specific element changes by the class it belongs, and the details for the class I put it here. So when I have multiple things of the same thing, I want the same class. So for example, username, I say inspect element. It's got a class called form-control. If I change this form-control, it'll change for both of them. Let's say background color. Again, I say, okay, it didn't change, but maybe something else is overriding it. That's the reason. But if you look at this entire code is the CSS for that specific element. That is where web development will become very complex, because a lot of user experience, what colors do people like, how easy should it be, all this information will come here. Okay, now this is the entire HTML code that is there for the user login. So if I take this whole code and put it up here, you will notice there's input. Now, can everyone answer me what is the HTML tag in this? Another 5-10 minutes, team, and then we'll continue from tomorrow again. What is the HTML tag in this? The first thing that is there after the less than symbol is the HTML tag. The format is this way. I have to identify elements. I have these methods, team. First is use an ID or name if it is available. Okay, then I can just say ID equals so on or name equals so on. Second, if there's a link text, if it's a web link, then just put the text for that link. So if I have to identify, for example, what we did out here, I just have to say this is the link to, and it should be able to identify it. The third one is called XPath, which is a specific format I'll talk about. The fourth one is CSS. Use the CSS style sheet to be able to identify. The format for XPath is this thing: 2/ HTML-tag, open square brackets, at attribute name equals attribute value. This is the format for XPath. Now, while all of these things are there, the one I really want you all to master is this XPath. I will also do another session, or I'll share a video. Manoj, maybe you can share the video for CSS, please, with everyone. And for the CSS, I will share a video as to how, okay, you can write a CSS thing. This is very standard, link text or ID or name. Like what we see here, ID equals user underscore login, or name equals something, link equals login. Now, if I have to write XPath, which is a very, very proven solution to identify elements, the format is this. I have to say what is the HTML tag, name of the attribute, and the value. This is the HTML tag. What you see before the equal to sign that is there within any of this are the attribute names. So ID is an attribute, class an attribute, type, autocomplete, required, all of these are an attribute. Now, I can use any of these attributes and try and identify. If I say class equals form-control, is that a correct attribute that I should use to identify it? Or if I say type equals text, is that correct? Or autocomplete is off? Why is it not correct? Because it is not unique enough. There may be many other elements within that page which use the same class because they want the same style, the look, the feel, the color, background, border, and all that, like you saw in CSS, right? Type also being text is not unique enough. It is like saying I want to identify someone in this group by saying they're from US. There are dozens of you are there from the United States, right? Or if I say someone is from UK, it is not unique enough always. What do I use uniquely? I use first name or last name or email address and so on. One second, team. So what can be, typically it's ID or name. All right, this is what we can use, or even placeholder. But you have to always try it and see. Now, if I have to write an XPath for this, I'm going to write, and I'll recommend everyone else also who knows it or who did not know but using this method is able to write it in the chat. So // HTML tag is input, open square brackets, at attribute name. So what should be, let's say I say name equals single quotes log and single quotes and square brackets. Maybe this is the also agreeable. How do I test it? I bring my IDE. I also bring my application to one side. So I have all these things ready. Where is my application? Oops, it's here. Right? And I put this as a new step out here. Just fill in the target. Selenium ID will help us, team, by making sure that we are identifying, but we are checking the element identifier and say find. Do you see that link blinking, team, everyone? So that is the correct XPath. Now, if I say log1, for example, and say find, it will not do anything. But in the log, it will say that, oh, this is wrong. Right? So you need to have the correct information. Now, same way, I'm going to give you an exercise and I want you all to tell me what is it in a similar way, an XPath for the password. So I'm going to copy all of this text. I'll put it up here so it's easy for you to look at. Oops, didn't copy the right. And I want to get your inputs on this. We'll do a little bit more on this along with some automation basics, and then we can proceed with the next one. ID is this, class is this, type is password, autocomplete is off, required is blank, placeholder is password, name equals pwd, data minimum length is 6. Everyone, team, whoever is there, come on, just put in a few things and see. The last thing, and then we'll end the session today. Then we'll start tomorrow. We'll go through a little bit more and move on with it. All right, great job, team. Most of you are able to write it. Type, I'll just read out the ones which are incorrect, team. Okay. Type equals quotes password is incorrect. Why? That's not an XPath format. If you want to do like that, it should only be an ID or name attribute. All right. Or you have to put it as a XPath format like this. So in this case, we have input as a HTML tag. Prabhu, what is the issue you're facing? I didn't understand. Oh, Sweta, sorry. Sweta, what was the issue you're facing? Okay, in this case, input, the name, all I have to do is change it to PWD or say ID equals user underscore pass. Which one is correct, team? Is it ID or name? Which is correct? Either is fine. Either is fine. Whatever works is correct. Whatever does not work is incorrect. That is the flexibility because we have to identify it. Now, if I say PWD and say find, see it highlights that specific element. All right. So this is how you go about identifying elements. Now, do me one favor. Get your Firefox, download Selenium IDE. If you have any issues in downloading Selenium IDE, just go to seleniumhq.org. Your Firefox if you have an issue. Click on this download Selenium or go to the downloads page. Search anywhere, do a control F on the page and say IDE. It will show you the section for Selenium IDE, and you can download the latest version from addons.mozilla.org. It will take you to the exact one for Selenium IDE. And say add to Firefox. Once you add it to Firefox, you will be able to see Selenium IDE. Once I do Alt out here, go to Tools. Under Tools, you'll see Selenium IDE. Okay, this will let you practice. Also get Firebug. Similarly, you can search in the same Mozilla. Just do Firebug and do it. Do not do Firepath yet, team, because Firebug is sufficient. I want you to play with a harder one, not an easier one. Okay. So search for Firebug and you can say add it to Firefox. Same thing. Okay. Once you get Firebug and you get Selenium IDE, I want you to experiment and make sure that what you're trying to do is to test using IDE. Write the target out here and say find. I can always say select and say, let's say I want to find this one. Okay. And it will automatically get me the XPath for it. In this case, it found an ID. It said login_role. But I can always convert this into an XPath format. How? I can say // Let us say I don't know the HTML tag for it. I'll just say star, open square brackets, ID equals single quotes login _role, again single quotes and end square brackets. And I said fine. What happened? Why is it not finding? Right click, inspect element with Firebug, input ID equals login _role. It should find it. Oh, I missed that. There you go. See, all these human errors, we do it very often. Now does it find it, team? I missed the @ symbol before the attribute name. That was the reason. Now can we find it? How do you know it's blinking? I can't see it blinking. Only two ways. Log doesn't give me an error out here, and the fact that even in the Firebug, the code, it's changing. That yellow highlight here is not being shown because it's because of background or whatever. The yellow color is not showing there, but it's changing some code out here, team. That's the way we can confirm that yes, it is fine. So I want you to play around with it, practice with it, do a few more XPaths. Then we'll talk a little bit about automation basics and element identification tomorrow, and then we'll go into core Java. I think one session is enough to walk you through the main concepts of Java that I want you to know, and then we can get going from there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for participating in an extended session today. I'll see you tomorrow 6:30 and we'll continue from there. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Bye then. Any questions, guys? Okay, maybe not yet. So maybe tomorrow then. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Bye. And thank you for agreeing, because for me, it's very important to take the crowd along with me. It's easy for me to keep going, but I didn't want you to be lost. So I'm going back to some of the basic fundamentals, and we'll work on these fundamentals and we'll get to the advanced framework from there on. All right. All the best. Take care, everyone. Practice well on what we're doing, and you should be in a good shape going forward. Thanks all. Bye then.